why do we need to detox our homes? Our environment determines our health. I'm a toxicologist, and in this video, you'll learn my top 8 low-tox swaps to detox your home right away. This is especially important if you have kids or babies or are planning to have kids, but everyone can benefit. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified whenever I post a new video every single week about low tox, lifestyle, babies and kids, beauty, and so much more. These swaps are must-haves in every home, and I'm sharing my tried and true favorites that anyone can do. Every single day, I help new and aspiring moms protect their families from environmental toxins, and I can't wait to help you. One really important aspect of our indoor environment is air quality. It's estimated that indoor air quality is up to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air quality. Given the fact that we spend a significant portion of our lives indoors at home, it's important to keep our home environment as low tox as possible. How does our environment affect our health? We are exposed to environmental chemicals every single day through the air we breathe, water we drink, food we eat, products that we use directly on our bodies or around the home building materials, furniture, textiles like the clothes we wear, bed sheets, mattresses, and so much more. The reason that air quality is so important is because what we inhale can easily gain access to the bloodstream, travel throughout the body, causing systemic toxicity. The things we put on our skin can also not only directly affect the skin, but also get absorbed into the bloodstream. Chronic low-dose toxic exposure over a lifetime can increase the risk for chronic diseases such as cancer. Here are my top 8 non-toxic or low-tox home swaps that you can make right away. Swap number 1 is to swap your outdoor shoes for house shoes or slippers or fuzzy socks when you're at home. The soles of our shoes can actually bind and carry poop, bacteria, viruses, other pathogens, nasty things like PFAS forever chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals like lead, and even microplastics. So if you've got kids, especially crawling babies, pay close attention. Taking off your shoes at the door should be the very next thing that you swap. Babies are crawling on the floor. They tend to put things in their mouths. Their faces and breathing zone are closer to the floor than adults, so they are exposed to much more of what's on the ground and on the floor than we are. Plus, it's totally free. I grew up taking off my shoes before coming into the house, so I understand that it may be a significant shift or change for some people. So I recommend getting a nice shoe rack and keeping it by the door so that you can keep all the shoes contained. I've also seen people getting a shoe tray to have a designated place to stand or sit when you take your shoes on and off in the house. Another tip when having guests over who may not be accustomed to taking off their shoes is getting guest slippers. I found some great options, so I'll throw the link down in the description box. Swap number 2 is to swap bottled and tap water for filtered water. Some of the contaminants in tap water can include microplastics, heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, pharmaceutical drugs, PFAS, radioactive particles, and disinfection byproducts. There was a 2021 Consumer Reports study that showed several popular brands of bottled or canned sparkling water contained high levels of PFAS chemicals. I wouldn't hold my breath for manufacturers to actually do something about this and remove PFAS from manufacturing equipment, so I personally prefer to make my own sparkling water at home. Of course, with my own filtered water. Some of the best water filters that I have found are reverse osmosis. They're the most effective at removing the most types of contaminants from your water, but some of the drawbacks are that they can actually remove beneficial minerals, which you can then add back if you wish. They can also generate wastewater, and they require electricity. So I would look for a reverse osmosis water filter that has a glass pitcher, NSF standards, and publishes their water reports. Because this is really the only way we can tell if the filter is actually effectively removing the contaminants. Another option is a water filter pitcher, but remember that not all water filter pitchers are created equal, and most of the ones that you'll find in stores, unfortunately, are inferior. Look for one that can remove major contaminants, like I mentioned, PFAS, heavy metals, chlorine, and fluoride. This clearly filtered pitcher is also NSF standardized. Lower cost, doesn't require electricity, and they also publish their water testing reports. Lots of people have mentioned that they travel with theirs in their RV or in their car, so this is another great option. Swap number 3 is to swap plastic for glass as much as you can in your house, especially in your kitchen. Instead of using plastic baby bottles that you then repeatedly heat, and heat, by the way, can actually cause plastics, microplastics, and plasticizer chemicals to leach into your baby's drinks. Instead, look for glass baby bottles with natural rubber nipples. Of course, if your baby doesn't have a latex allergy, otherwise you can look for medical grade silicone nipples. As far as kids' bowls are concerned, I know a lot of us parents like to use the bowls with the suction on the bottom to prevent our kids from knocking the plates or bowls off of the table and preventing a lot of messes. I totally get it. We used to use these silicone bowls that have a suction cup on the bottom, but I have found an even better option since my kids were young, which is a glass bowl that has a silicone outer cover, and so the silicone isn't coming in direct contact with your baby's food. Some of the issues with silicone when it comes to food contact materials are that there are varying qualities of silicone out there, and medical grade silicone is by far the least concerning out of all the different types of silicone. The problem is that some of the food grade silicones can actually leach cyclic silicones, which are restricted in the EU for endocrine disruption concerns. So that's probably one of the last things that you want to be adding to your baby's food potentially. Silicone, however, is a great option. That's something that I use when I'm doing anything cold storage. For example, if I'm freezing something or if I'm putting something in the fridge, or it's also a great option as a snack pouch for the kids in case you're concerned with them breaking something that's made out of glass. We've also used in our home stainless steel bowls with a silicone lid as a snack bowl. There are also bamboo bowls and dinnerware for kids. However, some of these can have an unknown lacquer or varnish on the surface, and we really don't know if these are leaching any potential toxicants into our food. So that's one that I would not necessarily recommend. For food storage, of course, glass is by far my #1 top choice. I also try to avoid plastic in the lid, and if I do have anything with a plastic lid, I try to keep that from coming in direct contact with the food. Medical grade silicone like the Stasher bag is great for cold food storage, especially if you want to freeze something, but I would wait until the food cools before putting it into the silicone pouch, just to be completely assured that the leaching would be very minimal, if not at all. I actually got this Stasher bag at the grocery outlet for less than $5 on sale, which is a huge bargain. Low tox swap number 4 is cookware. For pots and pans, I highly recommend avoiding anything that is non-stick because of the risk of PFAS chemicals or similar chemicals. Even though PFOAs have been eliminated or at least banned from cookware, they can still use other chemicals that are similar, such as Gen X, which have, of course, similar toxic concerns. The other cookware material I recommend avoiding is aluminum. Aluminum has neurotoxic concerns, and a lot of the more lower end, lower price pots and pans are usually aluminum coated with nonstick chemicals. And that would probably be the worst choice of cookware. Not to mention, whenever you throw away anything that's nonstick, these nonstick chemicals are then going into the environment, which can pollute and contaminate air, water, food, and soil. So ultimately, it will affect us again in the end. So the best way to avoid all this is to avoid buying them in the first place. Stainless steel are better options for cookware, but they can leach when you cook acidic foods. So it's not necessarily the #1 go-to for every type of food application. In my opinion, pure solid ceramic cookware is ideal. There are a lot of really trendy and very attractive looking ceramic coated cookware lines on the market, but these are not ideal. Think of them similarly as plated jewelry versus solid gold jewelry, for example. Gold-plated jewelry is a base metal that has a very thin layer of gold on the surface, so it just gives the appearance of gold. Over time, that layer can wear off, exposing the base metal underneath. It's similar with cookware. Unfortunately, these ceramic coated pans are usually aluminum underneath, which of course is one of the worst cookware materials. Solid ceramic that is non-leaching, durable, has excellent heat retention, and can be used in almost every area of your kitchen, from microwave, stovetop to the oven. You can also take it directly to the table. I'll link my favorite brand down in the description box below. I cook several times a week at least, and I'm always reaching for these pans. Some people have reported that they can scratch easily, but that's because they're likely using metal utensils, which is not recommended. I'm super curious to know which of these swaps have you made. Let me know down in the comments below. By the way, if you're liking this video so far, you might want to subscribe to the Low Tox Tuesdays email series. It's created by a toxicologist to help you level up your low tox skills and detox your home the easy way. I share some of my most valuable lessons learned along my own low tox journey. The issue with scratching your cookware with metal utensils actually leads right into swap number 5, which is cooking utensils. Specifically, I'm talking about plastic and silicone utensils. There are even some aluminum utensils out there. There's also stainless steel utensils, but since I'm using ceramic cookware, I'm avoiding all of those anyway, but some people are then switching to plastic and silicone, which are not ideal. The issues with these types of utensils are that they can leach endocrine disruptors, microplastics, and other chemicals into your food, plus they are not biodegradable. So once you're done using them, they'll end up in the landfill and probably never break down. The type of cooking utensil I use the most is solid wood, untreated wood to be specific. I usually will rub some coconut oil to help seal in moisture and prevent them from cracking over time. I found some really affordable, untreated solid wood utensils at IKEA and even at Aldi at really low prices. You can also search on Amazon for untreated wood utensils, but I have found them to be challenging to find on Amazon, and most of them are either coated with some sort of unknown lacquer material as well as coated with mineral oil. Mineral oil would definitely be lower risk than these unknown varnishes or lacquers, but again, it is also mineral oil that is a petroleum derivative, and you can decide if that's something that you're willing to use, but it's still a much better option than plastic. Swap number 6 is swapping your conventional mattress for an organic one. Conventional mattresses are sources of toxic exposure to chemicals such as flame retardants, polyurethane foams, volatile organic compounds, and more, and they affect anyone who sleeps on them. Given the fact that we spend about a third of our lives sleeping on mattresses, and studies have shown that mattress emissions can actually cause respiratory distress or irritation, at least in animal models, likely because they're releasing these chemicals like VOCs, and it actually happens continuously while you're sleeping because the body heat and the weight of the pressure of your body on the mattress is actually causing some of these chemicals to volatilize. Not to mention, studies have also shown that bodily movements on a bed can actually kick up microbes, bacteria, mold, and dust mites. So if you're sleeping with someone who likes to move around a lot, that is tossing and turning, maybe has restless leg syndrome, this could possibly be releasing even more. And of course, they're being inhaled while we sleep, which is not ideal because they could potentially lead to some inflammation. Mattresses can also be sources of endocrine disruptors like phthalates and flame retardants. Babies and children are the most sensitive to toxic chemicals released by mattresses because of their low body weight, their low capacity to detoxify, and the fact that they sleep up to 13 hours a day. Polyurethane foams are probably the worst type of mattress material out. The best mattresses are made with certified organic cotton, certified organic latex, no polyurethane foams, and no adhesives or glue, since these can also release VOCs. Our whole family sleeps on Naturepedic, and I'll drop a link in the description box below. We also have their organic waterproof mattress covers as well as sheets and pillows. And pillows are really important to swap out too because they're pretty much in direct contact in our breathing zone. So whatever we're laying our head on is releasing chemicals, we're breathing those in. This is also not a good idea if you're sleeping on a polyurethane foam pillow. And I'm sure that you've smelled the chemicals that are coming off of that, and they're not pleasant. Swap number 7 is laundry detergent. Most of the laundry detergents on the market contain undisclosed fragrances as well as harsh surfactants that don't actually rinse off completely from the clothes and can cause not only respiratory irritation, but also skin irritation. I would also avoid chemicals like sodium lauryl sulfate because it's actually synthesized with a carcinogen. The residues are not completely removed, so some of it could be ending up in the products that you're using on your clothes. Of course, avoid this for your kids. Some brands also include optical whitener chemicals, which I would recommend avoiding too. My personal favorite laundry detergent is in a powder form. That way we can avoid throwing away empty plastic bottles into the landfill once we're done with laundry detergent. I'll also drop the link to my favorite one in the description below. And swap number 8 for a low tox home is avoiding dryer sheets. They're usually made from plastic and coated in a petroleum derived oily substance, which is actually what is softening your clothes. And of course, one of the major sources of undisclosed synthetic fragrance, which in case you didn't know, can be any combination of up to nearly 4,000 different fragrance chemicals that can include endocrine disruptors, carcinogens, and allergens. I've switched to wool balls in my dryer, and at first I was adding essential oils because I did like the smell, but over time I didn't really feel the need to use those anymore, so now I just use plain old wool dryer balls, and the detergent we use is pretty much unscented, so I don't really miss any scent in my clothes personally, and I find that I just prefer that. But you can add essential oils if you do want a scent in your clothes. Switching to a low tox lifestyle can be a lot easier when you take it in step-by-step, bite-sized pieces. After all, it's a marathon and not a sprint, and every single swap adds up over the course of your lifetime. All of these swaps can have big benefits, especially for your little ones. Considering that they are just in the beginning, early years of their lives, it's a great idea to make these swaps as soon as possible. Teach them how to avoid environmental toxins in consumer products as well, and you'll save them a ton of headache. If you like this video, hit subscribe and the like button. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out new videos that I'm posting every single week. See you on the next one.